Welcome to Inside Sim Racing, and we are sitting here live at the iRace4Life seminar, and I'm sitting here with Sion Alford. Did I get that right?
That's it.
All right. Sion, first of all, thank you for having me. This is just an awesome deal you got going here, and just wanted to talk to you a little bit about this and your website and how you got this all going.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, this is our third year with the seminar.
Right.
And this year it's grown. It's bigger than ever. We're excited about what is going on here. Guys from all over the country in here showing off their rigs, showing off their driving skills. Got to hear a session with David Kader just a few minutes ago. And
we're going to have live here on the show here soon.
Yep. And so we got a lot of great classes lined up, learning about setups and everything. So it's just going to be a great time, and I'm really glad that you got to come out this year and join us to see what it's like.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. This is so far just been a lot of fun meeting a lot of different sim racers. I saw a little bit of David's basics on setting up an oval car, which is really cool. And this is the third time he's done that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It gets better every year. And matter of fact, the next session, which is going to be really good, so I'm sorry you guys couldn't be here to see it, is David is going to be doing another session. Ray Alfala is going to be sitting in the seat, and they're going to build a setup together and kind of show us how they go through the process of building their setups.
Awesome. That'll be really cool. Actually, we'll hopefully have a lot of these for you guys post-seminar.
Absolutely. We'll have that one edited and available to the public as soon as we can get it up.
Great. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about iRace4Life. Yeah. You have a website, and basically you guys now, you have a way that people are, if they win races, right. Why don't you tell the viewers about it and how that's all set up?
Kind of started a couple of years ago. I was painting my car, and I thought, I'd like to put a logo on my car that actually means something. And, so I could put, my favorite rock band on there, or I could put something on there to just be really cool. But I thought, why not put something on there that has some significance? And so I came up with an idea of starting a nonprofit organization that helped connect people with other nonprofit organizations to give. And one of the things I've learned in life is it's better to give than receive. The more you give, God blesses you so much. And so I thought, why not have iRacers give every time they actually win a race? So the motive for drivers, instead of just winning and feeling that great feeling of satisfaction you get, was they also get to, right after that race, log on to our website, register their win, and donate to a charity of their choice. It can be any charity, Red Cross, could be their local church, whatever they want to give to, but they could list that for us on there, and then we post all of these winnings on our website, and shows how much total giving has been done by our members. So
now, where do the funds come from as far as those donations go? Where those donations come from?
Those donations come from the drivers themselves.
Okay.
We also have some leagues that have teamed up with us that the league as a whole will give every time they have a race. And so the league will actually give every time in the name of the winner of that race. The good news is, and this is what's really cool, is iRace4Life.org receives none of the money. It doesn't even go through us.
Oh, wow.
We direct them to their websites of their choice. They go directly to the website of the charity, and they give the money directly to the charity. So we don't see any of the money. It doesn't come through us at all.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
So it's almost like we're a clearinghouse in a way that we just make organizations like Orphan Secure, Hello Somebody, I guess Kyle Petty's Victory Junction. We list all of those on the website, and if guys don't know where to give, they can go to and just click on some direct links that we do provide for them if they would like to give to those. So
that's really cool. Now, how long have you had that going?
It's been about 2.5, 3 years. We've given almost $10,000.
Wow.
We haven't. Our members have.
Right, exactly.
Which I think is important, Darren, is that when you join iRace4Life.org, all you're really doing is just making a commitment that when I win a race, I'm going to give. And that you can be in increments of $5, $5, $10, or $15. Or you can give as much as you want or as little. But there's also no pressure to give if for some reason you're going through a bad time and let's say you don't have any money to give but you just want to race, no problem. Just go on to the next race. But what it does
is that particular driver, what he's donating to that particular cause.
Exactly.
So there's not like a pool.
Exactly.
Okay, that's really neat.
And so they go and they do the giving themselves, so they don't have to worry about giving money to an organization and wondering if that money is actually going to get there.
So let's talk about the seminar.
Oh,
this,
yeah.
This is your third year. How did you come up with this?
Wow, it's really just a group of our iRacers here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We were getting together for lunches, and the idea kind of came to us, hey, why don't we just do a seminar? And maybe at first the thought was just to do something small and maybe over one night. But as the ideas kind of came in and grew, we decided we would combine it with this big conference that's going on here simultaneously with us, sharing the facility, all the IT, and everything else that obviously we have access to. We saw that, man, we could stretch this out over a few days and just blow it out. And
these guys are really having a blast. I just talked to Robert DeGraff, and he was just saying how amazed he is at the amount of bandwidth that you guys have available. I mean, we've got, I don't know, what, at least 20, 30 different setups here, and they're all able to race real time on iRacing.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I think they got a race setting up here right now.
Yeah, they're in a tournament race right now.
Right.
So,
so how many tournament races we got going for the whole?
There's 7 tournament races for the next 2 days. Winners, which is really cool. Matter of fact, we can even try this. If the camera can pan and show them the winner's circle here. Can you do that? Can you? Yep, pan it. We're live, folks. This is a good part about
live TV. This is our first time doing this.
So right over here, you'll see this is our winner's circle, which in probably about 30 minutes, we're going to have guys actually up on the podium, our first, second, and third place winners, receiving prizes from Derek Spear Designs, button boxes. We've got, he's donated some great stuff to us. Michael Main from Main Performance PC has given us some stuff. Fast Track Sims has donated. iRacing has given away a bunch of iRacing credits for our winners and things like that. So guys are getting something for their racing.
So they're not just racing for nothing. There's prizes involved. And you guys have a podium set up here, which is really cool. So last night they had a race Atlanta in, I think, was it trucks?
Yeah, it was. Trucks.
And Brian Schoenberg won that. And hopefully we'll have Brian here on the show. We're going to do 4 of these. This is our first of 4. We're going to do another one tonight at 10 Eastern time, and then 2 more tomorrow. So make sure you tune in if you don't have a chance. And then these will be on demand, so people will be able to watch them.
Very, very good.
Post-interview.
Very cool.
So how many people are we expecting for this?
Well, we're expecting over 100, and we've just about got that right now. And so we expect a little over about 100, 120 guys. There's some that have showed up today. Some will show up tomorrow, work schedules and things like that. So
right.
Altogether, we'll have about 120 guys.
I counted over 50 just in that David Kader, the setting up an oval car, which is really cool. So let's transition to your sim racing career. Yeah. So you obviously got into this because you're a sim racer.
Right, right.
So, and you seem to be a pretty busy guy. So how are you able to actually find the time to sim race, and what do you do as far as your sim racing goes?
Well, I've been sim racing since the Hawaii days. And
so we both have.
So we both have, way back. We probably raced against each other.
Probably.
And wrecked each other in the Talladega Boot, you know.
Exactly. I think that was my very first race, and I ended up getting into a wreck in that in the.
Oh yeah.
The Talladega Kink.
With my job and ministry and everything that I'm doing, I don't really have time to race like a lot of these guys do. You know, the leagues and things. Which I'm blessed. I've got a family, got 8 kids, and wonderful wife, and. So those family's my priority, work is my priority. But when I do get to race, I tell people I binge race. You know, I might have a weekend off or 3 or 4 days off from work, and I'll just shut myself away in the room and run about 10 or 15 races in a row. And
so you're not able to commit to any series or leagues or anything like that.
Sure, haven't. In the past, I've been a part. I know David Ankeny. I think you're going to talk with him at some point.
For sure.
He runs the RCRL. I run with those guys when I get a chance, and they basically just hand me my rear end on a plate. And
that's the thing for me, too. I just don't have enough time to devote to focusing on one car. And when I go out there, these guys that are focused on those just eat me for lunch.
But I have a blast at it, you know. I mean, I'm very competitive, and my family's got a little racing background in it. So just to be able to get in and feel that adrenaline rush, it's a great thing. And my wife likes it because it's cheaper than golf.
Yeah, that's for sure. So now, what about your setup? You have a stage 4?
Yeah, it's a stage
experience.
Stage 4. It's kind of a hybrid of some 80/20 profile, and
that's partly what my rig's set up on right now. Is 80/20. That stuff's great.
I love that stuff, and it's kind of like Tinker Toys for big guys.
Exactly. A Rector set.
That's it. And but I enjoyed. I've got that built it. I think since the last time, the last seminar, and added the rear traction.
So how do you like that?
Love it. I mean, for a guy that just gets in and has fun, it really takes the immersion level, which I would probably say that. You know, I've noticed a lot of these guys that are really, really fast, you know, their setups are simple. and you know, they don't put I guess they don't put a lot of time and effort into their rigs like guys that have more time to I guess not to race.
Right.
You know, so we kind of put our passion into the immersion part of it.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at too. So you seem pretty tech savvy as far as getting that all set up. I was talking to a couple guys here, and they said, "Yeah, I call Scion and get his. You know, he helps me with my computer."
Yeah,
and
don't put my number on the screen. Whatever you do.
Well, you don't have a tech support number that you don't want to publish.
My dad uses it.
So that's really cool. And they were actually in the seminar. You're familiar with doing telemetry and stuff like that too. So
yeah, it's my background in my studies in college and things like that. So I love the mathematics of it. And if I was in real racing, I'd probably be somebody back there in the crew working the telemetry kind of thing. So, but I enjoy that part of it because of the science.
Too.
You know.
Yeah, I do too. I'm probably nowhere near as tech savvy as you are, but like with SimVibe, for instance, I love just getting into a car and dialing it in to make it feel as close as I can to what I think is real, and I have a lot of fun doing that. Yeah. So what about future plans for the seminar? I mean, you're going to keep doing this every year?
Going to keep doing it, and I'd love to bring more of the pro drivers in. I think guys like seeing that. I'd love to get those guys in here. Even I think where we could see a lot of expansion, we talk about it every year, is on our road course side. I'd love to get some of those Pro Series guys in here to share some of their knowledge.
Now, Wyatt Gooden's here for this one, isn't
Wyatt Gooden's here, which is great. It's going to add a lot of pizzazz to the road side. He's got a lot of great knowledge. I got to meet him at the John Ambrose Racing Experience, and he's just very knowledgeable, great guy, teaching several of the sessions here this week. It's going to be good stuff. So
yeah, I ran into him last night for the first time. I've known him through sim racing for years, but got to talk to him for a little bit and talk to him about his real racing career, which iRacing kind of helped launch for him through that Jetta program. So we'll have him hopefully on the show later today. And speaking of on the show, we're supposed to have David Kader and Ray Alfalla here waiting in the wings, but I don't see them around.
So we're buying time now. We're shuffling. This is called dancing.
Yeah, exactly. So either that or we can get him in later. I'm going to be doing 3 more sessions. So
absolutely.
Maybe we should just...
I can run, go get him. Let me go get him?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's do that. And in the meantime, I'll just talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on. So right now they're running, looks like the Gen 6 car at Richmond night. And they're, okay, cool. So it looks like who are we going to get, David or Ray?
I think Ray's coming.
Okay, great. So we're going to have Ray Alfalla, 2-time iRacing NASCAR champion, is going to be here on the show. And going to get to ask him some questions about his championships and career and talk to him about what happened last season. He just
came up a little short.
But great to see another winner. I actually met Tyler Hudson, the winner from last year, and he was a great guy. But
got to talk to Tyler on the phone several weeks ago. Seems like a great guy.
He is. He's a really good guy, and it was cool. I've known Tyler, racing against Tyler for a long time too, and it was great to see another name in there just to kind of mix it up. But kind of sad that Ray didn't follow up with a 3-time, and I'm actually going to talk about it. He's like the Jimmy Johnson of iRacing NASCAR.
That's a good way of putting it. I got to obviously spend some time with Ray this week. He got in a day early and went to lunch yesterday. And I just want to tell everybody out there, the guy's genuine. You know, just a great guy. Really loves racing. I tried to get him off the subject a little bit of just getting and talk about life a little bit, but he always brought it right back to iRacing. And so interesting thing, a group of them went to pole position here in the Dallas area. I think it was on Tuesday. And while they were in there, one of the kids that works at the go-kart track recognized him as an iRacing champion.
I heard that story last night.
Crazy?
That's really cool. Yeah, so Ray's getting a little famous outside of just the iRacing world.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked him where his hardware was. He said he didn't want to bring his rings. He didn't want anybody to walk off with it. So.
Speaking of Ray's right here, Scion, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for being my first interview here. And
absolutely.
And looking forward to the rest of the festivities that are going to be going on.
Thank everybody for tuning in. See you next year.
All right, so we got Ray Alfalla coming on the show now.
Hey, how's it going?
Ray, great to have you, man. Have a seat.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm here with Ray Alfalla, 2-time iRacing NASCAR champion. And just make sure you got the mic close enough so they can all hear you out there. And we're live here, so I'm just going to kind of roll with things. I have some questions to ask you just about your sim racing career and just some other stuff. So first of all, what do you think of the seminar? This is your first year here, right?
First year here. I heard good things about it a lot, last year, and then I got a call from Scion like right after the event last year, and he invited me to come over, and I was like, yeah, if I can still do it, because I was still in college, and I graduated last December. So
Congratulations on that. I saw that through your Facebook.
Thank you. And I was like, yeah, if I'm available, I'd love to come. So, thanks a lot to him. And this is amazing here. It's such a big event, and it's all very well done. Basically.
So now you're going to be doing a seminar with David Kader on, and I guess you're going to be behind the wheel, and you guys are going to be showing how to make a setup. Is that what's going to be happening?
Thought process behind making setups. Personally, I still have a long way to go. I feel like he knows so much more than me about setups.
I was going to ask you about that. So how much are you, now you're on a team, right? You have been involved with different guys throughout your 2 championships and close last year. How much are you developing the setups, or are you more of a wheelman?
I have a bad habit of focusing so much on driving that I forget that I can make changes to the car. I'll get a setup and I'll try to get 100% out of that car, and so, and it's probably stopping me from adjusting the car and making it better. So I kind of have people tell me, you can just make that change instead of, because I always try to look at my driving faults. I'm never ever satisfied with how I'm driving the car.
Well, and some people don't understand how hard it is to master. People think it's only turning left in ovals.
Yeah.
And some people don't understand how hard it is to master any of the particular, Daytona and Talladega is one thing. That's just pretty much flat out and drive, and being able to manage the draft and stuff like that, and running in traffic. But all the other tracks, you really have to master the line and how the car's handling through, all 4 corners. So I can relate to where you're coming from, as far as my sim racing, because I am definitely not a setup guru. And a lot of times I rely on other people's setups, and I'm more focused on my driving and perfecting that.
Right.
And I'm honestly afraid I'm going to tweak the setup going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Is that part of where you're
at with it?
That
happens a lot with me. I make a change, and it goes south, and then I just go back and focus more on driving. Because on ovals, any little change you're in the corner for so long.
Right.
You make a change in your line or your steering input or your throttle input at the beginning of the corner, and it carries throughout the entire corner.
Exactly.
Where, my experience on road courses, I made an analogy the other day, yesterday I think, about road courses and ovals, and how a road course is very much like math, as far as you either hit that corner right or you don't.
Right.
You either get that question right or you don't.
Well, and it's, I think road racing is less about setup and more, you got so many different corners you got to master.
Yeah, and you got to hit the corner. You got to hit that apex.
Exactly.
Where ovals, I guess it's more like riding, where you have different lanes to choose from, and it's how you go through those lanes. And any little change in your driving can drastically affect how the car drives. So that's why I focus so much on getting the driving part right before I start making any setup changes. And when I make a setup change, it's usually pretty small, or else you don't know what you changed.
Exactly. And it's obviously worked for you. You're 2-time champion. Came close last year.
Yeah.
That was a tight race coming to the end. With 3 races left, you had some padding, and then I think you had some problems, and that allowed Tyler to squeak by you on that last race.
Yeah, and I would have never in a million years thought I could lose that championship just because of the math.
Right.
Have a full race lead with 3 races to go. That's pretty much a 99% chance of winning it, and I don't think what happened last year may ever happen again, or for a very long time, simply because of the math involved with it. But got involved in 2 consecutive wrecks, and Tyler had already been faster than me for the past month before that, but he was finishing, second, and I was finishing 5th.
Now, he didn't win that many races last year. He
won at Chicago.
Yeah. How many did you win last year?
I won a couple races, Pocono and Michigan on fuel strategy.
Okay.
And so I was a little bit off on speed, but I had such a big lead it didn't worry much. But then after the lead got completely erased, I knew into Homestead I would have a tough battle. And my teammate last year, Tom Lewandowski, made the fuel strategy work. And the reason it didn't work for me is because I thought I could keep up with the pack. So I didn't save fuel for 10 laps.
Oh, okay.
Well, he was saving fuel the entire time. He was like, I'm just going to do this.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to go out there and try to see if I can do it. And then once I saw I stalled out about 12th or 11th, I was like, okay, I'll start saving fuel. It was too late. I had to go way too slow to save enough gas.
It, right.
Then Tyler made 2 pit stops, still came out ahead of me and was pulling away from me, and I still ended up running out of
You guys
gas.
had some long green runs during that
Yeah.
last race too, so that probably really played into your whole strategy, or not working for you.
Yeah, well, we knew it was going to be a fuel race eventually, and I just basically started saving fuel way too late, and I had to overcompensate, and it was just a losing battle from there. Once you made your bed, as far as saving
You got to
fuel,
lie in it.
you're like half a lap back. You can't start going all of a sudden. You got to keep trying. It wasn't enough.
So what about this season? How do you think you're going to fare this season?
I'm in a new team, Slip Angle Motorsports, team made by Lisa Pineda, and
who I met
drivers.
at the NASCAR Hall of Fame recently. Very nice lady.
Yeah. Teammates are Brian Blackford, Brandon Bowie, and Byron Daly.
Met both of those guys at the NASCAR Hall. Byron and Brian.
Yeah, Brandon is like really the only new guy in the mix.
Okay.
I've known Byron and Brian. I just call him Blackford because there's so many Bryans.
Right. Makes it easier.
So I've known them for so long. We've hung out, and we've just never been like part of an official team for whatever reason. And then finally this year, we're like, you know what? We already hang out all the time,
So let's team up.
Let's just team up and work together and make it official. So, we're looking forward to this year. And Daytona went okay.
Where'd you finish? I'm sorry, I didn't.
I finished 21st. I sped on pit road leading the race.
Ouch.
But it cost me to, I think, miss a big wreck, basically.
Well,
because
that's
the
good.
leaders wrecked. A few laps after that, top 5 wrecked, which is exactly where I would have been running. So in a funny way, I'm kind of okay with speeding because I think it made me miss that wreck. And I finished 42nd last year at Daytona.
So you cut that in half for this year.
Yes.
And you were still in the obviously very much in the hunt last year too.
Yeah, it was 9 points the difference.
Well, you guys have drops too, or no?
Yes, we have one drop, and I think this year they're going to do something a little different. This year they're going to drop a race, or they're trying to anyway, with the database. They want to drop a race in the first 12, and then have the last 5 count no matter what. So that's a little new twist to the things because they kind of want to stop people from being confused about the
It's
whole
almost
points.
like a chase to an extent,
Sort
a
of,
little bit. But
they want
not
people
really
to know
a chase.
where the points stand with 5 races to go. Because the way it was last year, there was like the points, and then the broadcast had to make like a separate sheet of here's how the points look with drops, and it literally changed on the last race.
Right.
So now the goal is for people to know where points stand, before
with 5 to go.
5 races before the season ends.
Let's back up a little bit. Now, I don't know if it was your first championship, but you were doing double duty.
Yes.
In the championship series. You were running on the NASCAR side and the road side. Now that was season 1, right?
2010 and 2011.
Oh, so you did it 2 seasons.
Yes.
And so then you won the championship in 2011. How much did you compete on the road side in 2011? Because I think you started kind of dropping off on the road side a little bit. But how hard was that to do? And I know you did it like a full season in 2010 that way, right?
Oh, I did 2 full seasons.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, finished 15th in points both times on the road side. And what hurt me most on the road side was my qualifying. I would just qualify in the back, and I would literally start, 35th every race. And
work your way up.
Have to work my way up, and in the Formula One cars,
and no cautions,
right?
So you can't rely on
right.
catching back up to the field.
And for whatever reason, I struggled qualifying with an empty fuel tank, and then the race started. I would be fine, and then I'd have top 10 speed in the race, and qualified 35th.
And having to pick up as many positions as you could.
And I figured my focus was always more on the oval side, and eventually with school and this other, these 2 series and everything that goes on, it was like, I have to pick one series. Because I got to the point where I think the road side, the road effort, was starting to take away from the oval effort.
And that's what I was curious about,
Yeah.
how much that affected your...
And then I stopped running after 2011, and I had my best oval season the following season, 2012.
Oh, so you won in 2011
and 12.
In 2012,
Yes.
right? And then you almost won it last year too. So now what about? Let's talk about your college a little bit. So you just graduated. What did you master in, and what are your plans? Your future plans?
Forensics from Florida Gulf Coast University.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And right now I'm just taking a few months off, just trying to see where I want to go. But yeah, that's definitely something that's always been a goal of mine. Is going to college, graduating college. That was, when I graduated high school. for me, it was not even close to the end. You know, it was like, okay, graduated, I have to go here now. Still got 4 or 5 years left.
Right.
So you know, we'll see where I go from there. But I'm just excited, obviously, to have that degree.
That's very cool. Congratulations again on that.
Thank you.
Before we go, what kind of setup are you running?
I'm running at home, Obutto, Ozone,
Okay.
so the old one, with a triple screen, 27-inch Asus monitors.
Nice.
Right now on my wheel, I used a Club Sport wheel for the past year.
Back before that, you run it with a DFGT?
DFGT, that's where I won my 2 championships. And for some reason I decided to just, you know what?
Let's switch it up.
Let's switch it up. And then I didn't win one.
So how much do you think that played into, I mean, because you were in the points, like you were the leader at 3 to go.
I mean, I don't think the Club Sport wheel cost me the championship. In the end, it was too many crashes.
Right.
You know? But with wheels, it's interesting. You can have a low-budget wheel that's just as fast or faster than a high-end wheel, and it's all about what you're comfortable with.
Exactly.
You know, and I've been going back to the DFGT lately, and I'm definitely not slower. And so I've also been looking at the T500 here, which is what I debated on buying when I chose CSW or T500.
Uh-huh.
So I'm thinking I might give that a try and see, because I always like trying new things just in case you get faster. You never know.
Exactly. Well, and it's back to that comfort level. And you might feel more comfortable with a T500 or a CSW. So let me ask you, now that you've gone back to the DFGT versus the CSW, which do you think you feel more comfortable with?
I think more comfortable with is the DFGT right now. I think it might be just because I go way back with that wheel.
Right.
All my old muscle memory just kicked in immediately. I was running lap times right there immediately, with it.
Now, what about the learning curve as far as getting, not even really a learning curve, but how long did it take you to get comfortable with the CSW?
CSW, it took me a little while, but what I like the most about that wheel is it's so smooth.
Right.
And it feels so
feels more like you're driving a real car.
Exactly. It's more authentic, where
versus the gear-driven
DFGT, you lift it up and it's just plastic.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like, So it's like CSW, but and it just depends what you want. For me, in the series that I run in, speed is the most important thing.
Right.
It goes. I mean, a lot of times it goes over enjoyment. I enjoy this wheel, but if I'm for some reason not faster or simply just struggling a little bit more with it, I'm not going to run it.
I don't blame you.
Where there's a lot of guys who don't really care about a few hundreds. They just want to really enjoy the experience. I know with the CSW.
That's more where I'm at. I'm not competing.
With the CSW, I definitely enjoy driving a lot more. But and when I say slower or faster, I'm literally talking like 100th per lap.
Wow.
But in the World Championship,
it adds up.
Now called the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
Right.
100th easily is the difference between 7th and 2nd.
Right. That's a tight field.
If you're running 2nd, 3rd, you're battling for the win. You can win that race. You have a good pit stop up front. You're running 8th, not really. Running 8th, you're maybe fighting to maybe get into the top 5.
What about pedals?
Pedals. Right now, I'm using the TSW pedals, actually.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. I had some Fanatic pedals last year, and actually since 2011, and they kind of went bad on me and with the electrical side a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to TSW.
And the last thing you want is a mechanical failure.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No.
And I'm really looking forward to Michael Main's pedals, who's
I am
my
too.
sponsor this year in the championship series. And I'm really looking forward to trying those out and what that'll bring. But right now I'm just using the TSW pedals, which...
And that's what you were using originally, before the Club Sports?
Yes.
Because I was wondering, did you ever race with the DFGT pedals? Because those are junk.
No, I didn't. I bought the DFGT for the wheel, and it's a really good wheel.
A lot of guys use that wheel.
Yeah. So, the TSW pedals, they're pretty old. I mean, they're like falling apart pretty much, but they work. They work fine.
That's the thing about TSW, man. They build things to last.
And so I'm using that pretty much. And, I mean, it's going fine, but... I've tried a lot of different pedals here, and it's like, oh, wow, these feel great.
I was hoping that Michael would have a set of his pedals here for us to check out. But
I think I couldn't make that happen, just ran out of time.
Right.
But I'm really looking forward to trying those.
Me too. So I think that's going to wrap it up, Ray. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been great meeting you for the first time. And good luck
Oh, thank you.
this year in your championship.
Thank
Now, do you guys have race 2 yet?
No, not yet. Race 2 is at Vegas on, what day is it today? Thursday? Thursday, yes. It's on Tuesday.
So this Tuesday coming up.
Yes.
Well, good luck at Vegas,
Yes,
and
thank
again,
you.
good luck with your championship, and thanks for joining us here. And next up, we got David Kader, who's waiting in the wings, and you may have seen some of his setup series that he's done, and he's done it here at the iRace4Life seminar. David, thanks for joining us here.
My pleasure, brother.
So you're the oval setup guru, it seems. Actually, let me get to my notes here on you.
Yeah.
Or one of them at least. And great to finally meet you in person.
Thank you. You too, brother.
So first of all, what do you think about this seminar? This is your 3rd year here.
Yep.
So you've been here for every one of them.
Yeah. It gets better every year. It truly does.
Better with age.
Yeah. This year especially, the hecticness of it is a lot less because everything was just running around and trying to make sure everything was right. But this year, man, everything is running just so smooth. They've done a really good job at making sure the alignment of everything just rolls.
And that's what I've found being here so far, is that everything just seems to be flowing the way it's supposed to.
Right.
And that's really cool. So I caught a little bit of your basics. So your basics on setting up an oval car.
Right.
That's what you guys just did there.
Right.
And like I said, you seem to really know your stuff when it comes to setting up that car.
Well, I just fake it a lot. But no, it's not. It's just something I've been doing since 2K3 first came out. It was when I first started seeing that you could actually do setups and make changes as far as springs and shocks and cambers and the whole 9 yards. And to be able to go by what you feel on the track and by what the tire temps and stuff tell you, when I started getting into that, it was just something that said, okay, I got something that occupies me here. And I've just been doing it for, I think the first week that 2K3 came out is when I first started.
Was that your first sim racing title?
My first sim racing title was, I seen it in Best Buy. I actually remember the day. I was on Best Buy on a Saturday, and I seen it out. I said, okay, I read the back, see, what do I need to play this? And I went that whole week and got a computer and a steering wheel from Walmart that actually had the lip on it that you sit down on.
Really?
And sit between your legs.
Right.
Lap
wheel.
Yep, I used that steering wheel to start with 2K3. I said, okay, I got to figure this out.
So you basically, that title got you to buy everything.
Absolutely.
So you hadn't done any PC gaming before that? Wow.
Had no idea about a computer. No idea.
Now, what about gaming in general? Have you done any video gaming at all?
Yeah, the PC. Now, the Xbox stuff. I was really into the when Atari had the iRacing.
I remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, that I loved.
That's pretty much how I got into it. I always gravitated towards anything racing related. Actually,
Right.
I had an Intellivision. Was one of my first consoles, and
I remember that one.
Auto racing for the Intellivision was like my first. Outside of the arcades, I mean, I was always gravitating towards anything in the arcade that had a wheel attached to it, and so you've been kind of on that same path, but then you really got into it in NASCAR 2003.
Yeah, when 2003 came out, and I found out that you could actually go into the garage and make changes that you could feel on the racetrack, then it just became an obsession to say, okay, I see what that done. Now, what does this do? And then what this does went into what does this do? And on and on and on. And then it turned out to where in 2K3, a friend of mine that was painting cars, we got together and made what we called RCR Kader, or I was Rattler Kader Racing is what it was called.
Okay.
And I would put my 2K3 setups on the web, and he would put his paint jobs on the web so people could come and get our setups and paints. And it turned into that I got to where I was known making setups for 2K3, and next thing I know, I'm getting the invitation to come before it went public.
iRacing?
Yep, to iRacing, and then when I got into iRacing, I was, okay, now I've got smoke coming out of my ears trying to figure this stuff out. And then it just turned into an obsession trying to figure out how this works. So
And it shows, when like I said, I caught some of your class there, and it shows how much you know about the ins and outs of how an oval. Now, what about road racing setups? Are you only oval, or do you do any on the roadside?
I spend so much trying to get the oval cars from the late model up to the Cup car. There's just so much involved in doing those that any time spent on an oval car, I just don't have. I just not enough time in a day. I leave that to the guys that really love the oval racing. I'll play with it some.
Road racing.
Yeah. What I say, oval racing?
Oval, yeah.
See, there you see where my head is. But the road racing stuff is just, when I start getting into like different parts of each spoiler and each part of the fins, I say, oh, okay, I don't want nothing.
I'm gonna stick to the
yeah.
oval
Let me
stuff.
go to my splitters.
Now, what about your actual racing? I mean, you spend so much time tweaking setups. How much are you actually able to race?
Yeah, well, I mean, I get to race a pretty good bit because I have to test the setup so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I will spend a lot of time testing, and then the only way to really test what you've got, once you've got it to the point that it's really comfortable for you, you're turning some decent times on practice servers, then the only way to really find out what it's going to do is put it in a race traffic.
Exactly.
Because anytime you get into a race server, it's different anyway.
Yeah, because you got the draft to deal with,
all the
traffic,
different dirty air, yeah.
and cautions coming out here and
Yep.
there. So yeah, you can't really tell just running
Yeah,
laps.
you got to
in
race
practice.
it.
Yep, I hear you.
But I'll be honest with you, I've won races with my stuff, and that is great. But to sit and watch like the NIS race last week at Phoenix, the 6,400 strength of field, and to have Jared Crawford win that race and say, David, that's the best car I've ever driven, I'll take that all day long over winning any. I don't care.
I hear you. I've done some coaching. My daughter played volleyball, and I played in high school and coming out of high school. And honestly, I got and get more satisfaction out of coaching her and coaching their teams versus actually playing myself.
Yeah.
You know, and watching them learn. And so I can relate to you there.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, now you helped Tyler Hudson last season he won the championship in NASCAR, iRacing NASCAR series. And you were telling me yesterday how much satisfaction you got out of that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I really hesitate to say that I actually helped Tyler Hudson. Tyler done that.
Well, he drove it. Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
but and it was all of one up. It was Dustin Montgomery and Tyler and Joe Holt and Chad Lawton back then and Jared Crawford. Those guys that we were working with at the time.
So it was a team effort.
Yeah, it
though.
really was. And those guys are just they are every bit as good, if not better, at it than I am. Just I tend to have a way to tell people how to do it.
Right.
It's just that Jared and the Lawton brothers and Joe and Tyler are just so good at doing this. They really are. They're a pleasure to watch. It's not to say that I helped Tyler in any way. Really, it was Tyler.
Right, but
really
again, like I said, it sounds like it was a team effort, and it's amazing to see how much of a team effort it takes.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
Just talking to Ray, and you know, he's been on teams throughout his championships and coming close last season.
Yeah.
And you know, me personally, I don't think. I mean, I used to be pretty fast, but being able to compete with these guys, if I was to come in by myself and even attempt to make setups and run at that level, I couldn't do it without devoting a serious amount of time to it. So
now that's true. That's true. Without being able to put a setup together and then get up and say, okay, guys, here it is, put it up in TeamSpeak or wherever you put it to. There it is, go test it. Tell me what it's doing. Then on the Facebook or in the emails, they'll say, David, it's doing this. I need it to do this better. And then I can go in when I get time and start tweaking this and then send it back and say, okay, go test this. And that back and forth between the guys, myself and the guys, is a big deal because especially when we get into our team practices where there's 5 or 6 of us in there, I'll usually start out the first 10 or 15 minutes driving the car, get the car where I know what it feels like. And then I'll wind up getting out of the car and saying, okay, what are y'all feeling? And the very same setup that we start with, Tyler will say, I'm a little loose off. Joe will say, I'm a little tight in or I'm a little tight off, and I'll make different tweaks to that setup and then have the exact same setup, and then both of them say, okay, that's better. But I made totally different changes to the set.
Each one of theirs?
Yep. And just instead of trying to tell them drive it differently, just drive how you're comfortable.
Right.
And let me change the setup to how you drive so you don't have to worry about how you drive.
So you're like a setup engineer,
well,
basically.
That's the most fun part of it to me.
That's really cool. And that's great to hear that guys like you are into that part of it because there's just so many different aspects. You were talking about originally when you got into it, you teamed up with a guy that was painting cars.
Right.
You know, there's guys that love to paint. There's guys that love to tweak setup. There's guys that, like me, I'm horrible at setting up a car. You know, I can drive the wheels off of it, but
Yeah.
you know, and I'd love to be able to work with somebody like you to say, hey, man, it's a little loose off or it's a little tight in.
Right.
And just continue to drive my style versus alter my style to cater to the setup.
Right. See, I have just found that it's just totally, you just can't change the way you drive the car as good as I can change it mechanically. So don't worry about how you drive the car. You go out there and drive it good and comfortable. Once you get comfortable driving the car, tell me what it's doing. Then I can make the changes. Now, don't go change how you drive. You just drive it the same way, because if you change how you drive, now you're changing what I'm changing.
Right.
So just drive it how you like to drive the car. If you like driving that thing deep in, drive it deep in. Let me fix it to where deep in don't kill you.
Right. That's really cool. So real quick before we go here, what type of setup do you run at home?
I've got an Abotu with 327s.
Revolution or Ozone?
The Revolution.
Okay.
And I've got the 327-inch Asus monitors with a fourth 24-inch Asus that sits below me that is strictly for telemetry, just to operate my setup so I can do telemetry while I'm in the sim. And then it's just, I think the computer's got two GTX 780s, the
Wow.
two video cards in it.
Powerful system.
Yeah, it's a nice setup, but it's not, I mean, like Scions. I mean, seriously. There's something wrong
That thing
with the
could
man.
send a rocket to the moon.
Yeah, there's just something wrong with that. But it's
What kind of wheel?
I use the Fanatic force feedback, the one with the BMW wheel.
Club Sport?
Yeah, the Club Sport wheel. I
Okay.
use it, and I've actually one of the few that have the Canon pedals.
Really?
I actually got a set of CSTs before
he went belly up or whatever he did?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing he's not here for this.
Oh yeah, and that's just a shame too, because the man builds quality stuff. It's
He
just,
does.
it
Yeah,
really
he
was.
did. And-
Did.
But it sounds like some other guys are going to be stepping in, like Michael Main.
I'll be honest with you. I was hoping that Michael brought his pedals.
I was too.
Because I'm really looking forward to those pedals getting built, because sooner or later my hanging pedals like the CSTs, something's going to go south with them, and I have no recourse.
Right.
I'm looking forward to Michael's. They really look good.
They do. Yeah, I'm looking forward to them as well. And then last thing I want to ask you, have you ever tried SimVibe or do you have anything like that set up on your
No,
rig?
I've tried Scions, and I've tried a couple of the other guys that have the different type of seats that have the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And although I like it, it's not something that, with as much time as I spent tweaking sets, having that extra motion and stuff to take my mind off of what I'm doing, I don't want.
Just want to focus on what
If I wanted just the total racing experience for the driving part, that's the greatest thing ever. But me sitting and thinking nothing about what this spring change or shock change is going to do to while I'm driving it, I don't want to be thinking about what the seat's doing to me.
Right.
So,
you just want to focus on setting
absolutely.
up the car. Well, David, thank you so much for joining
Buddy,
me
I
here.
appreciate it. Thank you for coming, man. I'm glad
And
to
I'll
see
be
you.
checking out your next class. I don't know if it's your next one, but you're going to be doing one with Ray Alfala.
Yeah, we're going to be doing one with Ray, and then actually Ray and I and a couple of the other guys are going to be doing a race craft, to where we're going to get all the guys on the setup and kind of go around behind them and say, okay, do this a little bit better, different with the throttle, see if you can get a little more stability out of the car this way, and talk to them about that. Maybe after this we get some guys that race a little cleaner and have a little bit more thought about what.
Very
they're
cool.
doing.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thanks, sir.
For
I
sim
appreciate
racing,
you
and
coming.
and I'm sure these guys are too. So
Yeah, my pleasure.
thanks a lot, David.
Thank you, buddy.
So that's going to wrap up our first session here, our live session here from the iRace4Life seminar. I'm Darren Ganji with Inside Sim Racing. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And again, we've got 3 more coming, 1 more later tonight, and then 2 more tomorrow. That's going to wrap it up. I'll see you for the next one. Cool. How did that work as far as sound levels? I was so focused on just getting through those interviews.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is when you would turn away,
I wasn't. Okay.
it wasn't terrible. We boosted your level a little bit, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
But just remember, try to keep that in there with you. I know it's kind of difficult because you're not hearing.
You know what I'll do too is I'll keep my mic